Welcome to the Real Life Podcasts with your hosts, leadership and personal growth author and speaker John C. Donahue and licensed psychotherapist Lou Carfisi. The Real Life Podcast is your weekly dose of motivation, encouragement, and direction to help you live your life at the highest level.
So hello, everybody, and welcome to the Real Life Podcast. My name is John C. Donahue, and I come to you from johncdonahue.com. Joining me, as always, is my best friend. He's my co-host. He's my partner in this project. His name is Lou Carfisi. He comes to us from lifecarecounseling.net. How are you doing this wonderful evening, my friend?
I am doing just fine, John. Good to see you.
Good to see you. And we are reallifepodcast.com is our website. You can find us on Facebook at Real Life Podcast. You can find us on the Twitter at Real Life Cast. And one thing that we would encourage you to do if you're on the website or on Facebook is to click the button and sign up for our newsletter. We send out a newsletter that has information that you can't find necessarily on the internet, on the website, things that we write, we come up with, things, information we'd like to share with you. Totally free. Love to share that with you. So go ahead and sign up for that. We would appreciate that. But today we are talking about what to do when you don't know what to do, which this came out of a conversation with myself and a friend of mine, just being stuck. And have you ever, Lou, I don't expect a lot of private information, but have you ever gone through a time where you felt stuck before, like you didn't know which way to go, what to do?
I always find myself in that position when I have I really do, whenever I have some kind of a decision to make. And I make a lot of small ones. I recently just learned a new therapeutic method, and you feel like if you're not growing, that you're stuck. So, I feel that way a lot. I feel that way with big things too in life.
Right.
So,
well,
I can relate.
Yeah. So the conversation basically went something like this. I'm struggling because I know that I need to move forward in my career and in these areas of my life, but I really don't know what to do. I don't know which direction to go. I don't know what I need to do. And that's a hard place to be. And I know that you've been there, I've been there, and I figure that there's a lot of people who are listening or watching that have been there too. And this time of year makes it even harder because all I've been hearing about, and on social media, I don't know if you've seen this, but social media for the last 2 weeks, because it's, when we're recording this, it's the second day of January 2017. It's been New Year's resolutions. Well, here's why resolutions fail. You have to make out goals. Well, New Year's goals don't work unless you write them down. Well, that doesn't work either. You have to do this and this and this. It's overwhelming. And I think we set our expectations so incredibly high for the changing over of a new calendar. It stops people in their tracks, and our expectations are high. We put expectations on ourselves. There's guilt involved because, especially if you're a man like we are, we feel like we need to be the breadwinner. We need to be the person bringing in the money for our family. It's a lot of that kind of overwhelming thought that stops us in our tracks. Does that sound like anything you've dealt with your folks?
It's all the time. We're always making decisions, be it small ones or big ones, as to whether and which direction to go in. How do I know what the right thing for me is? There doesn't seem to be a real clear answer. How do you do that? I mean, what do you usually tell people when they're in that circumstance?
Well, the very first thing that I tell people is go talk to my friend Lou, is because he can help you out. The very first thing that I encourage people to do is to stop and just take a deep breath, several deep breaths, just to kind of relax, because usually when you're talking to someone like me or you're talking to someone like Lou, you're already spinning a lot of plates in your head. Your mind is just constantly, wondering what to do. You don't know what to do. You're starting to stress and panic. You're starting to have a lot of anxiety. And when you get in that state, it's very hard to make strategic, logical, calm choices because your anxiety level is so high. So I encourage people, the very first thing is just take a couple of deep breaths and step back from the situation. Because when you can do that, you can calmly look at the landscape of what's going on in your life. You may be able to see things that you wouldn't see otherwise. So that's one of the first things that I encourage people to do. You have to be calm to think clearly, right?
That's right. Otherwise, you've got too much emotion, right, in your head and all kinds of thoughts and anxiety. Yeah.
Right. Clarity comes when you are putting forth the effort to remain calm and look at it from a logical point of view. All those emotions, yes, they're important. Yes, they need to be addressed and they need to be processed through. But when we're trying to figure out what to do, when you don't know what to do, those emotions don't necessarily help you at this point in the processing. So the first thing, take a deep breath. Second thing, a friend of mine said this one of the best ways, what are your hardships? What are those things that you're struggling with the most? The way I put it is, what are your biggest challenges or the biggest struggles that you have that is causing you to be stuck? And write them all down and list out those challenges that you feel are causing you to not know which direction to go. And I think that starts the therapeutic process of enumerating the struggles, because that's forcing you to write down, on a list what those deals are. That way you're not thinking about it and putting it up, and then later on you're thinking about it again. I feel like writing it down kind of takes that plate off that stick and stops spinning.
Right. It's like journaling.
Exactly. Yeah. The effects of journaling for me, that's all I used. Well, it's not all I use journaling for, but it's really what I use journaling for the most. It helps me.
Sorry, my stomach does that every now.
Journaling for me is a way for me to process through the day. And when I have a challenge like that, it does help. But I like to list out, here's what I'm struggling with. Here's my struggles. And I'll be very open and honest, and that's just the way I am. My struggle is my weight. It's been a struggle. It's been a concern. It's been an issue for most of my life. The other thing that I struggle with is because I'm self-employed, I oftentimes jump. I can have the tendency, I should say, to jump at a lot of different things because I'm starting to, process through, okay, we need to be bringing money into the company. How do I do that? And then the next question is, well, how can I do that the fastest? And that's not always the smartest question. So those are my two big things right now. And then one can cause problems with the other. If I'm stressing because of work, then I can overeat or not eat the right things. If I'm feeling bad because, I know that I'm not doing the things I need to do to lose the weight, then I start stressing, and that spills over into my job. And my job is to help encourage and help people who are feeling how I'm feeling to stop feeling that way. So it's kind of a vicious cycle. So
sounds like it.
Yeah, so those are two of my things. So here's what I did, and this is what I encourage my friend to do. Figure out what your struggle is, what your hardship is, and then once you find the one thing, and this is just if you're dealing with a struggle, if you have that one thing, go ahead and figure out what does that look like to get past it. What does it look like if I lose 100 pounds? And how would that make me feel? And that becomes a motivator for the movement that I need to make. And then you start doing the whole thing that we talked about before. You figure out how to, where you want to go. Then you start working the process backwards, setting up little bite-sized goals along the way. How do you need an elephant? One bite at a time. But when you're stuck and you don't know which way to go, like in your job, if you leave the job that you're at because you're miserable to go find another job, and you don't know what that looks like. If you're stuck in a situation that you don't feel like you can get out of, that is a different situation than, I just need to lose weight. So the most important thing is to step back, take a breath, and look at the situation. And if you don't know which way to go, just move forward in one direction. How does that, moving forward does so many things. It gets you unstuck. How does that help you mentally, Lou? When you're dealing with an issue and you just don't know which way to go and you move forward in any direction, how does that mentally help you?
Well, all mental health, or lack thereof, has its basis somehow inside of conflict. There's
Right.
always two sides, at least. So when you're in a position where you try and decide what it is that you need to do, or what you want to do, what you should do, or you feel stuck and you don't know the direction, you've got this constant conflict within you. So once you make a decision, whether it's the right one or the wrong one, well, time will tell, I suspect. But once you make a decision, then you remove the conflicting part, and then there you go.
Right.
You're okay to go, and then you
Right.
have to deal with the consequences, good or bad.
Right. And one of those conflicts that we struggle with is, I want to have a great job, but I have this job that I'm stuck in and I really hate it. And I really want to go out and find something new, but I don't know. I don't know what to do because, it's scary to leave something that you have for the possibility of something in the future. And we could talk about that one specific, situation. But the thing is, trying to lose weight is a goal that can be, easily attainable if you do the right steps. But the reality is we don't always get the things that we want because reality kicks in. The ultimate outcome is never written in stone just because you wrote it down as a goal. Even though you have a job opportunity and you leave your current job and you go out and fight that opportunity and you take that step forward, you're not guaranteed anything. So a lot of the times when we're talking about goals and resolutions and stuff, that conflict is we try to self-determine the outcome. And that's just not reality. The outcome's always going to change. We always have to tweak, which way we're going or the decisions that we're making while we're making them. And that's that consequences that you were talking about. If you take one step in any direction, you're either going to take a step in a right direction, a wrong direction, or a direction that's going to force you to make a decision or a change. It may be a direction towards something that you never even imagined, but you can find so much more joy and happiness with. And that's something that happened to me a long time ago. I was a musician. That's what I was doing for a living. I was playing, I was teaching, I was loving it. Everything was great. And a guy came to me that I was friends with for a while and presented me with an opportunity that I had never even thought of. And that was to be a worship leader at a church. And I was at that crossroads. I didn't know what to do. I was stuck. I didn't know what to do and which way to go. So I took a step of faith, so to speak, and stepped out and made some changes along the way and discovered that I really loved doing the music stuff for the church. And along that path, I discovered new friends, relationships. I met Lou. And then other things happened that changed my career even more. So I'm no longer a music minister for a church. I'm helping coach people because I discovered that I love helping people to take their lives and live them at the highest level. That's that course correction. That's that taking that next step, even though it's not the step that I took for the rest of my life to be a worship minister. I took that step and it's changed and I've tweaked it along the way and here I am.
Well, you had the courage to stop doing what you were doing and take a step. You said leap of faith. Well, sometimes you have to move because you have to move. Right. I think someone just made a comment that said not making a decision is making a decision. True. That is very true. And that's a very important thing. No matter what you do, you have to do something because a body that is at rest tends to stay at rest. I believe that's a law of physics. And making a decision to not make a decision is a decision for not moving. And anything that's alive and flourishing grows, and you have to make a decision to move. You have to do something because that proves that you're actually growing. You're actually trying to move forward. And those are the important things when you're stuck and you don't know what to do. Just do something. As crazy as that sounds, because doing nothing is not going to help you. In fact, it's going to make the process even worse. It can. That's what we call consequences. But there's a bigger consequence for not making a decision. And that means that you stay in the conflict.
Right. Yeah,
because
and that's not
if there was no
Go ahead.
conflict, there would be no decision. I'm sorry. If there's no conflict, there's no decision to be made.
Right.
Right.
And when you stay in that conflict, you start developing regrets, and is that where depression can begin, and that starts this downward spiral emotionally? I mean, it can, right?
Anything that causes anxiety and frustration can lead to depression. I mean, if it's there long enough, and if it affects us that strongly, sure.
Right.
So
go ahead.
No. So what I was going to ask you, what do you think? What do you think? Someone who decides, well, if I do this, I'm not sure if it's good. If I do this, I'm not sure if that's good. What if I just stay where I am and I don't make any decision? I just stay status quo. What would you tell somebody who was like that?
I would look them square in the eyes and say, I've been in that exact spot and I've made that decision and I've regretted it every single time I've made it. Because you're in a state where you feel like you're absolutely miserable. There's nothing that you could do to take away that misery. And the thing is you're your own worst enemy. You're forcing yourself to stay in that conflict, that negative space. You're constantly spinning plates. You're exhausted, and the not knowing what to do just gets worse and worse. So I would encourage you to take one baby step in any direction. If you're struggling to figure out what to do about your job, maybe you need to talk to a job counselor or a job coach. There's job coaches out there. If you're struggling with your weight is the issue. Maybe you need to join a group that can help you be accountable. Maybe you can process through that with somebody. Maybe you need to talk to somebody like Lou or myself. That's what we're here for. Talking through your problem, your challenge, your goals, what the big hardship in your life is, not knowing what to do. You can talk to somebody like Lou or myself, and we can help you process through it, because you don't have to do it alone. And I think that's part of that fear, because when you're struggling and you don't know what to do and you don't want to make a decision, it's because you feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, and you've really forgotten that you're not alone. There's people who want to help you, either friends or mentors or colleagues or coaches, counselors. We're all here to help. There's a lot of people who would love to process you to the next step, even if it's just a little baby step.
Yeah, that's true. There's no reason to stay in status quo if status quo is making you sick.
Right. And well, that's great. I literally just saw the comment. That's great. Editing that out. So we're in the conversation, and what's the hardship? How do you move forward? What's the next best step? And then once we got through that, you said it earlier, you have to have the courage to move. And that is probably one of the hardest things. It's even worse than the not knowing what to do, because we all are I think a lot of people struggle with self-doubt. And I think a lot of people wrestle with, they don't want to make the wrong decision. How do you help somebody, Lou, when they're struggling with that self-doubt to overcome it, especially in a situation like this?
Well, the thing is, you can't give someone the answer. You can't tell them, well, you should do this. Should I leave my job, or should I start my own business, or whatever it is that they're thinking of doing. You can't give them the answer, but what you can do is make sure that whatever it is, their thinking process, whatever's going on in their head, isn't unhealthy, so that they make a decision based on desperation, based on just, I have to do something, or I'm being motivated by the fact that I'm bored, or I hate my job, or I hate my boss, or I hate this or hate that. It has to be something that's going to improve your life, that's going to take you to the next step, the next level in your life.
Right.
So normally, those are the types of decisions that will get you in the type of circumstance that we're talking about.
Right.
The big ones.
Yeah.
But making a decision to lose weight is tough, right?
Yeah. And that's something that, I've talked about it with my wife, and we've developed a plan and a process, and I've got my goals and decisions that, I've mapped out kind of what I need to do. And, it's day 2. So, so far I'm doing okay. But my friend, we got to the end of the conversation, and we figured out this was the big hardship, and this was where we wanted to go, and this was how we were going to do it. There's baby steps, and this was the next right step. And not only were we talking it through, like I've encouraged, people to talk to Lou, talk to me, somebody. There was accountability. There was some support there. I think making a decision on the scales that we're talking about with jobs, or with personal issues, or with struggles that we've been dealing with, or anything that's causing this level of anxiety, there needs to be support. So talking it through with your spouse, or your family, or people who you consider trusted friends, or people that are coaches or mentors, and getting them to not only help hold you accountable, also help encourage you and give you more suggestions along the way, helping you tweak what you're doing. I think that's important too, because that was really the last step. There's going to be a series of emails and phone calls and text that we kind of mapped out along the way, so that there would never be this walking this road alone feeling. And when you're trying to overcome an issue, you never want to go alone, because it's easy to fall back into that rut. So having some accountability is vitally important, but I also think it's important to have support from people that you care about.
Absolutely. And who care about you.
Exactly. They want to see you be as successful as you can be, and whatever they need to do. And if you don't have people like that, you really need to find some friends that can do that. And that's easier said than done. I understand that, but we have to have people. That's why relationships are such a big deal, and we talk about them all the time here on the podcast. So that's kind of the process. If you don't know what to do, that is a way that you can process through it. And if you really are stuck and this does not help, maybe you need to reach out to somebody like Lou or me. You can find us at thereallifepodcast.com. You can shoot us a question at questions@reallifepodcast.com, or you can find us on Facebook or Twitter. Anything that you need to add to this, my friend? Any icing on the cake there?
Well, no, I was just, this is something that's within, this is your thing.
Right.
This is your thing. This is you're a motivational guy. You're a leader. Okay. You were the leader in your church, and you're a leader in general of people. And I think that you provide that direction, not the answer, just the direction, right, for somebody who's stuck. They feel like they're going no place in their life or their career or whatever it is that they're dealing with. And I think that that's why people who do what you do, the leadership, the guidance, the life coaching, is so vital to people. Not necessarily with serious psychological problems.
That's your thing. But that is all your thing, my friend.
But people who have questions, and it's not to diminish or elevate what either one of us do. It's important that people understand that distinction between who do you go to. If I'm deciding what to do, if I'm stuck and I need some kind of guidance, you may not need a therapist. You may not need, it may not be a psychological issue. It's a personal choice. It's a life issue. And that's right, why John, I think, is so valuable in this role.
Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And the important thing that I would just want to throw last thing out there, if you know somebody that is struggling, they're stuck, and they don't know how to get out. They don't know how to get unstuck. They don't know what to do because they don't know what to do. Maybe you can share this podcast with them. Share the link from the website, or share the link from Facebook, or wherever you find it. please share it with them, because we not only want to get the word out about what we're doing, but more importantly, we want to help people. And if talking to Lou or myself gives you that motivation, encouragement, and some direction on making those better steps so you can live your life at the next level, that is exactly what we're about. So if there's somebody out there, please share this message with them so they can get the help that they need. Fair enough?
Hey, you got it, man.
All right. So with that, I think, thank you, Lou. Thank you for being here and adding your immense knowledge and support. I appreciate it. And I'll just give you the thumbs up there. We're on video, so I can edit that out. But
that's right.
That's right. And the other thing is we want to make sure that you are thanked. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch, to listen. If you're watching us live at 7 o'clock Eastern time on Monday nights at facebook.com/reallifepodcast, we appreciate you being here as well. And if you're looking for real help, real hope, please make sure that you come to the reallifepodcast.com.
Thank you for listening to the Real Life Podcast. Find out more information and sign up for the Real Life Podcast newsletter at reallifepodcast.com. You can also learn more about our hosts, Lou Carfisi at lifecarecounseling.net and John Donahue at johncdonahue.com. And remember, live your life to the fullest. And as always, we want to encourage you to choose to be awesome, because when you choose to be awesome, you will be. Have a great week, everyone.